Hi there. Recently I was watching a video with a National Geographic photographer named Bob Holmes. He was talking about composition and seeing, and how important that is for good photography. Well, he had a few points that he made in that video that I'd like to reiterate here. First of all, lines. Not leading lines, not what we've been talking about here, but simply lines in an image. For instance, if there is a strong diagonal, it gives an image vitality. If there is a strong horizontal, it gives an image a sense of calmness. Think about it. If you look at an image of a beach with a nice level horizon and, well, it's calming. I mean, maybe it's because we think of it as the beach, but maybe it's because of the composition of the image itself. He mentions gesture, something that Maisel makes a big deal about. Gesture is sometimes it's a difficult term to really pin down. It can actually be a human gesture. Something like a person taking his coffee cup to drink. Someone who fixes their glasses too often. But it's something that adds... sometimes it adds something to the image that is actually discordant, something that draws your attention and therefore makes for a stronger image. Punctuation is the word that Bob Holmes used for something that really draws your attention in an image, even though it's a very small part of the image itself. One of the members of our photography club refers to it as a kicker. Now, a kicker can be something relatively small, like it might be a person in a landscape image. And that person is not a large part of the image, they're a very small part of the image, but because of the fact that it is a human being and we are attracted to our own species, then we are going to notice that human being in this natural setting. It might just be a strong color. Like, for instance, if you have a scene that's made up of mainly, green, natural greens and blues and browns, and all of a sudden there is a bright red object in that scene, then that bright red object gets your attention. It is a punctuation or a kicker. Showing energy by actually using techniques to show motion rather than trying to freeze it. Nowadays we tend to be carried away with the softly flowing waterfalls maybe, but at least that does give the impression that yes, this water is moving. Whereas freezing it with high shutter speeds, that gives you an entirely different point of view. So, emphasize motion whichever way you wish, but having that energy in an image makes for a stronger image. David duChemin talks about simple techniques like panning, for instance, in order to actually show the progression, the motion, to get across the idea of how busy a place is. Some of his pictures were taken in India, and I mean street scenes in India with very large cities, lots and lots and lots of people. To us it looks like pandemonium. So capturing that motion by following one object through it, so that you've got one sharp object and everything around is a blur, gets across that energy. And of course, another thing that you hear a lot saying is, wait for an image. Don't go trying to chase one down. Maisel and Bob Holmes both make the point of saying that you don't necessarily have to go out seeking a particular image. In fact, Maisel in particular says that he basically doesn't leave the house with his camera. So if he's going to the store to buy a carton of milk, he's got his camera with him. Now, is he planning on taking a bunch of pictures on the way? No. But if he sees anything that's different, that's new, that is not something he's seen and shot before, then there's an opportunity that he's not going to miss because his camera is with him. The other thing is that visual media, all visual media, will help you as a photographer. If you study painting, if you study architecture, if you study sculpture, All of these things will show you the world in different ways. Ways that will help you to improve your photography. So, what it all comes down to is this. Get out there with your camera. Don't go out with a bag full of lenses if you don't need to. Instead, keep it simple. A camera and a lens. I intend to try something a little different for a while. Having dug out my old DS again, I have put on it a lens that I never really came to terms with well. And that is a 14mm f2.8. Now remember, this is a crop sensor camera, so this doesn't actually behave like a 14mm on this camera. Instead, it gives me the field of view of a 21mm. Still though, a very wide lens. When I shot film, the widest lens I owned ever was a 19mm. So this comes very close. The thing about this, I have to be careful with my composition, more so than usual, because I don't have crop space. I have a 6 megapixel camera here. Basically, if I were using my 24 megapixel camera, I could crop out 3/4 of the image and still get as much resolution as this camera will give me. So, this is going to force me to be careful. And of course, the fact that it is wide angle means I'm going to have to learn how to come to terms with wide angle photography. So that's my little project. It's a simple little one, but one that I hope will lead to better pictures. Well, I guess that's all I have to say for now. The big thing I want to point out is that composition is still #1 most important. The only reason why I showed a piece of gear here is that I have to now learn how to compose with a focal length that I've never been really familiar with and I've never really come to terms with. So it's going to be interesting. Well, folks, if you like this video, of course, click like. If you want to see more of my videos, then subscribe to this channel. And, well, if you think somebody else is going to get something useful from this, then by all means share it. And bye for now.